نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام ميم. تلك آيات الكتاب الحكيم هدى ورحمة للمحسنين الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم بالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون. ومن الناس من يشتري لهو الحديث ليضل عن سبيل الله بغير علم ويتخذها هزوا أولئك لهم عذاب مهين. وإذا تتلى عليه آياتنا ولى مستكبرا كأن لم يسمعها كأن في أذنيه وقرا فبشره بعذاب أليم. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لهم جنات النعيم خالدين فيها وعد الله حقا وهو العزيز الحكيم. Respectful honorable friends, the verses that have been recited are the opening verses of Surah Luqmaan. And this surah is called Luqmaan, Surah Luqmaan, due to the advice that Sayyidina Luqman had given to his son. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins the surah with the huruf muqatta'at, alif lam mim, the meaning of which only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows of. But it isn't something that affects our aqeedah. Hence it isn't something that is essential for us to know of it. And that by not knowing the meaning of these letters, we have been deprived of following the Qur'an and understanding the Qur'an. تلك آيات الكتاب الحكيم. Allah Ta'ala says these are the Kitab al-Hakim, these are the Ayat al-Kitab al-Hakim, these are the Ayat of the wise book. Referring towards the Qur'an, which is Hudan wa Rahmatan lil Muhsineen. That it is a means of guidance, mercy, and for who? Lil Muhsineen. In the beginning of the Qur'an, in Surah Baqarah, Allah Ta'ala mentions Hudan lil Muttaqeen. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that it is Hudan wa Rahmatan lil Muhsineen. That it is a means of guidance, and because the Quran is a guidance, it is what? It is mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Guidance and mercy. It is the rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not revealed the Quran upon us, then how would we have found guidance in our lives? When a person purchases something, any gadget for that matter, any appliance, one of the first things that a person looks for is the user guide. And the easier the user guide is, the easier it is for a person to fathom and work out how to use it. And nowadays where people are cutting costs, especially with regards to paper and that, you don't get a user guide anymore. And if you do get one, it's very brief. And some are in such English that you need that to be translated as well. So the person looks for is there a manual or not? And the manual is there to help a person figure out what they need to do. So here too, nowadays, as I mentioned, the reason that manual you have to either digitally download it or so. Not every person has that ability and are able to do so. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the Qur'an. The Qur'an, which is what hudan, it is guidance for mankind, and it is a rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this manual of life, by which we are able to understand how we should be living our lives. But unfortunately, this is the most important manual, which we do not try to understand. And this is that manual which isn't so difficult to understand. And if a person does find difficult, we have those who do tafsir of the Qur'an, we have the mufassirin who have done the tafsir of the Qur'an for us. So we are able to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning to us. If Allah ta'ala had not given us guidance and had not sent the Qur'an upon us, then our lives would be void of any form of guidance. Right and wrong, there would be no such thing as right and wrong. There will be no difference between us and that of a non-Muslim. So the Qur'an is guidance, and it is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for who? لِلْمُحْسِنِينَ, for those who do good. The Qur'an is a mercy and guidance for every person, but those who specifically benefit from it are the muhsineen. Because the muhsineen are those who have understood the guidance. They have understood that the Qur'an is rahmah, and by following the Qur'an they are able to become from the muhsineen. Which shows us that if we also want to be from the muhsineen, then we need to understand the Qur'an. We need to follow the Qur'an, then we will also become from the muhsineen, those who do good. And who are those who do good? Who are the muhsineen? Allah Ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَهُمْ بِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. Three qualities of the muhsineen Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions here. One is الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ, those who establish the salah. وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ, those who pay the zakat. And وَهُمْ بِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ, and those who are convinced about the hereafter. Again here with salat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ. So Allah ta'ala doesn't just mention salat, but Allah ta'ala mentions the establishing of salat. And we have done the tafsir of Iqam al-Salah on many occasions. As a believer, we do not just perform our salat now and then, but we establish salat. Establishing salat is when salat becomes part of our lives. The occasional performing our salah, when we up to it, or when certain conditions are such that we feel like praying our salah, that's the only time we do our salah. That is not establishing salah. And because Allah doesn't want us to read salah and perform our salah in such a manner, that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ, to establish the salah. So the muhsineen are those who do not just pray their salat, but they establish salat in their lives. That wherever they are, salat becomes part and parcel of their life. وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ, and they pay the zakat. This surah is a Makki surah. And being a Makki surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ, which shows that the farziyat of zakat was revealed before Hijrah. So zakat was already commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before the Hijrah. However, the nisab of zakat came after Hijrah. And it is because of this, there is a different opinion of when did zakat become farz. There is one opinion before Hijrah, and the other is that of the second year of Hijrah. Both are correct in the sense that when you do the zakat, in general, giving zakat was mentioned already. But actually carrying it out, the practical way of giving zakat, that was then revealed later on in Madinah al-Munawwara with regards to the nisab of zakat. وَهُمْ بِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ, and they are convinced about the akhirah, meaning the coming of the akhirah. Because the muhsineen, they will be muhsineen when they have iman in the akhirah. As I mentioned in Jummah as well, that when it comes to doing good in this world and to gain benefit from this world, this is something that makes sense to us. We understand this because we see the fruits of it here. Whatever neki, whatever good we do with regards to akhirat, we do not see it here in this world. And because we do not see it here in this world, we are not so up. We are not so up to doing good deeds for the akhirat. The more conviction a person has for the akhirat, the more they become from the muhsineen, the more they want to do good for the akhirat because of their yaqeen and the stronger yaqeen they have for the akhirat. أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون. And those who are the muhsineen, who establish salah, zakat and have conviction of the hereafter, they are the ones who على هدى من ربهم. These people are upon the guidance from their Rabb. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And they are the truly successful ones. So they are the ones who, when Allah Ta'ala says that they are on guidance from Allah Ta'ala, meaning that they are firmly stationed by Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. And وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ, meaning the akhirat, that they will be the successful ones who will attain eternal salvation in the akhirat. That they will find and they will attain salvation in the akhirah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that those who follow the Qur'an are on guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which shows us that this guidance comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when a person finds themselves practicing the Qur'an, on the Qur'an, establishing salat, giving the zakat, then a person should feel pleased with that as well. Not proud and arrogant, but should feel pleased on that they are on guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that too, that is that guidance which is when a person understands the guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed in the Qur'an. And in order to understand the Qur'an and be able to be practicing upon the Qur'an and guidance from Qur'an, because Allah Ta'ala says, أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَىٰ هُدًى مِّن رَبِّهِمْ. These are people who are firmly stationed in guidance from their Rabb. When it comes to the Qur'an, because here Allah Ta'ala is mentioning with regards to the Qur'an, and in order to practice the Qur'an, we need to understand the Qur'an. And now how do we understand the Qur'an? There is tafseer of the Qur'an which is necessary for us to understand the Qur'an. And when it comes to tafseer of the Qur'an, and this is something that is very, very important, especially in our current times, wherein any person can do tafseer of the Qur'an. And not only that, but almost every person has a platform. Previously, in the past, a person needed to earn a platform. The mimbar was sacred. The mimbar was sacred. That not any person would just sit on the mimbar and use the mimbar. It was reserved for who? For the ulama, haq for ulama. The imam of the masjid, he would be the one who the mimbar was his. And the mimbar would be used for what? For matters of deen, and not for other things. And where it would be, they would be told. Like during the time when the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala as well, when the various umara, other leaders came about, they would use the pulpit as well, but they used the mimbar for what? They used it for political reasons. Hence on the day of Eid, the salat precedes the khutbah. Jummah is opposite. But these umara, what they would do is, like Hajjaj and Yusuf and them, that because their talks would be political, the people would not want to sit and listen to it, so they changed it, and what they would do is that on the day of Eid they would give the khutbah before the salat. And the salat is wajib, so people had no option but to be there, and they would have to sit and listen through the khutbah. So there were those Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala who disliked this, who told them as well regarding this, and who warned them as well during the time of Hajj as well. When Marwan bin Hakam had made Hajjaj bin Yusuf the Amir at that time of Makkatul Mukarramah, and he specifically said to him that during the Hajj you must follow the instructions of Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala. Hajjaj didn't like this, that he had to follow somebody else. So Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala on the day of Arafah, came to him to his tent. He was in his tent and called him, Ar-Rahil, Ar-Rahil, come on, get up, this is time to leave now, depart from your tent to Mina and go to Arafat. Which is at this time now, after Zawal time, this is time if you want to follow the Sunnah of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then you need to depart now. Whilst he was going there, and it was Hajjaj was there, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar and Sayyidina Salim bin Abdullah ibn Umar, the son of Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar. He was on one side. Salim said to Hajjaj as well, that if you want to also follow the Sunnah, then make the khutbah of Arafat short. Knowing that they will make this another political khutbah, lengthy khutbah. So he said to him as well, make it short. And that's when Hajjaj looked towards Abdullah ibn Umar to see what does he say about it. He says, sadaqah. He said the truth. Meaning that keep it short. So there were times wherein it was abused in this way by these people. But they were, because they were the Amir, they used to lead the people in Salah, so they had the mimbar for them. So the mimbar was sacred. People knew that what is said from the mimbar is going to be that which is haqq. We hear, what we learn from the mimbar is what is going to be correct. That's why the Jummah Bayan as well, we don't have to see that time, it is the mimbar. And I sit on the mimbar. Don't stand, but sit on the mimbar. So people don't look, this is what the mimbar is for. So the mimbar is sacred. That's why we keep the mimbar free away from those who are not alims. That's why when the Tabligh Jamaat come and have the program as well, they have their program away from the mimbar. Because the mimbar is not for non-learned people. It is sacred place. This is where the ulama stand. This is the place of the ulama. And not those who do not have knowledge. So for that reason, it will always be that whatever is said from the mimbar is going to be that which is correct. And a person who doesn't have ilm and knowledge is not always going to say that which is correct. Irrelevant, no matter who they are associated with. To that extent that even if it is an alim, a non-alim who is a Sufi as well, it's not necessary whatever they say is going to be correct as well. They are going to also in tasawwuf as well, maybe say certain things which are not verified as well. So the mimbar is sacred. But now with social media, nobody needs to be appointed as an imam of a masjid to be able to give any tafsir or any other talk or so. And especially with YouTube and Facebook and whatnot, and YouTube specifically, any person just sat in the comfort of their home now becomes an imam, becomes a mufassir, becomes a muhaddis and faqih, and becomes everything overnight. And because you have an audience as well, and you have such audience, and how you develop your audience as well is that depending on what you talk about. If you're going to talk about things which are new, kullu jadidin ladid, new things, people are inclined for new things. Mention the usual important matters of deen, the basics of deen. People are also interested in that. But talk about other things, something that is new, and people like that more. Mention new tafsir of the Qur'an, people will enjoy that more. New masail, these type of things, people will enjoy that type of things. Look, this is different, we hear something different from this platform. So people are intrigued in it. And now that a person starts gaining this type of a follow, then what happens is that the person becomes very free. In a masjid, what's going to happen is, you've got the committee is there. People, the ulama will complain to the committee, the ulama will be sat there as well, listening to the Jummah khutbah, to the bayan. You say something wrong, it's going to be highlighted to you. You have to remain within the boundary as well. Because there are going to be those who are going to bring your faults out. And here, this is that platform wherein who is going to? Nobody is going to. Comments, you can disable the comments. People can say whatever comments, you can just ignore the comments. So a person has his platform. And it is there where people who are deviated and deviate others as well. That's why in order for us to understand truly what the Qur'an says, the tafsir of the Qur'an, it is very important that we remain within the tafsir that has been unanimously accepted by all the mufassirin over the times. And majority of the tafsir comes from who? From the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala, Abdul bin Masud, Abdul Abbas radiallahu ta'ala. The tafsir has come from the Sahaba. And it comes from the hadith as well. So the mufassirin are those who are unanimous. Hence, even amongst the mufassirin as well, there will be occasions wherein a mufassir may have a certain interpretation of the verse of the Quran as well. And other mufassirin will make mention of that, but they will also make mention that, look, this is a unique interpretation that is only unique to this person. I mean that aside from this specific mufassir, others haven't really taken that tafsir, or they haven't taken that meaning of the tafsir. And by taking it doesn't mean because they didn't like it. This is those who don't have knowledge, this is how they work. Oh, we like a masala, let's take that. We don't like it, we won't take that. We like the sound of this hadith, we'll take that. We don't like the sound of this, we'll leave that. By them meaning that accepting it is all based on evidence. That it is an opinion, but it is not a unanimous opinion. Or it is an opinion, but not an opinion that the ummah has accepted. So it is those opinion and those tafsir that the ummah have accepted. That is a tafsir that we need to adopt. That is a tafsir we need to follow. That is the guidance that we need to follow. And whenever there is such a platform wherein the person on there is now mentioning to us such things which are totally away from that which the mufassirin have unanimously mentioned. And by that we mean that the mufassirin throughout the time, not just those in the past, but all the time, there will be those mufassirin who will accept what the previous have said. So this is something that is accepted. There will be different opinions. But those opinions are those which the mufassirin have accepted. As long as we remain within that, we will be understanding the Qur'an as how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to understand it. And that's all we're going to be questioned with regards to. Where somebody is going to give us tafsir of the Qur'an, and we find that no other mufassir has that opinion at all, and neither is it an opinion that the ummah has readily accepted as well, then there you should realize and understand already the alarm bells here. That this person is now doing tafsir bil Rai. He is doing tafsir from his own accord. He may assume that, look, he is following the usul of tafsir here. But the fact that the other mufassirin, and these are those mufassirin who had more knowledge, who had enough knowledge as well, the fact that it is an opinion they did not accept, or even rejected, or maybe it was an opinion that they didn't even come to at all conclusion to, it shows us that no, that is not what the tafsir of it is, that is not what it is meant of. So a person should abstain from that type of tafsir of the Qur'an, or where there is such gatherings that Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, man qala bi ra'ihi wa asaba. Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam fawqad akhta. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that person who gives tafsir of it in Rai, meaning that where you have many circles, tafsir circles, isn't it? And there is no alim that, there is no mufassir who gives the tafsir of it. It is just to Mr. So-and-so, Dr. So-and-so, and engineer so-and-so, and so-and-so, Dr. So-and-so, dentist so-and-so, Fulah so-and-so, who sit around and they've got the Quran in English. And they then doing tafsir of the Quran. Brother, what do you think it means? Brother, I think this is what it means. Okay. Brother, what do you think it means? Brother, what do you think it means? So, and from those brothers, maybe that person who seems to be a little bit more educated Islamically in their understanding, is the one who gives his interpretation of what he thinks of the verse is all about, and what it means, or what it should imply towards. And that's when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that if a person gives an opinion merely by luck, takes his chance, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that even though his luck has turned out correct, that he has given an opinion and that opinion is the correct one, he still gets sin for that. He is still erred, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions. Why he is erred? Because he has given an opinion from his own mind. That's why he is erred in it. And it so happens that he's just taken a chance, isn't it? Like you just fluke something, you close your eyes and just throw something and it hits the target. So that is nothing that you've achieved, something you changed for that. It's something by luck you got it. So by luck he got to the right opinion. But because he's not qualified to do tafsir of the Qur'an. So for that reason, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions that although he has come to the right opinion, but in actual fact, he's error. So where we have these type of tafsir, all of these opinions are going to be in error. Hence, it is who? The Mufassirin. And by Mufassirin, we also mean the ulama who have learned tafsir of the Qur'an from their asatiza. An alim deen, when he is studying his alim course, for instance, so there a person learns, what do they learn? They learn Arabic, that is one. Along with that, they learn tarjama of the Qur'an, they learn the translation of the Qur'an. And when they learn the translation of the Qur'an, it's not a case of, look, this is the verse and this is what it means. They learn specifically the meaning of those words. The meaning of those words. And then after learning the tarjama of the Qur'an, the translation of the Qur'an, then later on they do what is tafsir of the Qur'an as well. So they have covered the translation of the Qur'an, they have covered tafsir of the Qur'an as well. And in that whole entire few years that they are studying the Arabic as well, then they learn all the grammar to it as well. And then you may have those who actually go further, who do a takhasus, a specialist course in tafsir itself. So they will study even more tafsir of the Qur'an and get more opinions of the tafsir of the Qur'an. So they are those who have fully understood without knowing Arabic, and that too without actually going into detail of Arabic and master Arabic. A person cannot do tafsir of the Qur'an at all. Without Arabic, a person cannot do tafsir of the Qur'an. And also when we say with Arabic as well, it means that person who knows the Arabic of the Qur'an and Hadith. Because the Arabic of the Qur'an and the Hadith, the words utilized are different compared to general Arabic that is utilized as well. So even that person whose mother tongue is Arabic, yes, they will understand the translation of the Qur'an, but not necessarily that they are able to understand the tafsir of the Qur'an as well. Because of the words that they use, they're not general everyday words that are used in the Qur'an. And there are those words that are used in the Qur'an which the Mufassirin themselves had to go in the villages and they had to go to places where people actually spoke this Arabic, who knew that, look, when they say these words, what do they use these words for? What is that we understand the word to be, what we understand the translation as we, but amongst the people, what do they actually use this word for? So they would actually go to find out that as well. Those who spoke that language, that type of Arabic, what they would utilize it for, where else Allah Ta'ala has used the similar word in the Quran as well, to understand what it means. Just the way we have the word here, which will come in the next verse. This, what I'm mentioning now was not part of the tafsir. The main part of tafsir is the following verse. But this was just on Huda wa Rahmatan lil Muhsineen. And the fact that we have this social media and you have the fitna of YouTube, wherein any person has a platform, and it is our youth, not just youth, but the masses itself, who find that easier, who don't want to actually come in the masjid, who do not want to actually sit in front of an ustad and alim and sit and learn Quran in the manner that they should do. Instead, they want to be just comfortable at home and just sit at home and watch YouTube. And as I mentioned, in doing so, if they were to by reliable sources as well, reliable ulama, that is also acceptable and understandable. But no, that isn't the case. It's what the fitna that is there, isn't it? You might even start off with an authentic alim and you're listening to his tafsir of something or a topic that is there, but then what happens? You have all the other options as well, isn't it? Then when you see the other options, then you start saying, oh, let me listen to this sheikh. Then you go on to that sheikh. Okay, this will be boring. Now let me try this sheikh. And as I listen to this sheikh, this sounds a bit interesting. Then you're listening further, I've never heard this before. I've never heard this before. Then who's this sheikh? And then because you know that sheikh, other videos may come. Well, let me try this one and that one and this way, that way. And now it's a case of, this seems to be interesting. This sheikh looks interesting as well. Because the sheikhs that we've seen are those who have what? Big beards and turbans and that. This sheikh, mashallah, he's got a tie on. He's hardly got a beard there. But he knows his stuff as well. So he knows his stuff as well. He's called a sheikh and what he's talking makes sense. You don't need to listen to the sheikh if you know what he's saying is making sense. and what he's saying is correct. Why is he saying correct? Because it makes sense to you. Because it relates to you. And just because it relates to you, you say what he says, it makes sense, it is correct. And in that he's speaking, maybe he's saying a lot of things which are contrary to the accepted tafsir that is their opinion as well. And he is of that opinion of many flexibilities. He is of that type of those mufassirin, today's so-called mufassirin, who want to abrogate so much of the Qur'an as well. There's so many difficult parts of the Qur'an, but this was for that time, this was for that time, this was revealed for during the time of Nabi Karim. It doesn't apply anymore to us. It doesn't apply to us anymore. In a Western world, it doesn't apply to us. In the 21st century, it doesn't apply to us, so you don't have to worry about, just read it in the Qur'an and that's it, it doesn't apply to us anymore. This doesn't apply to us anymore. No, circumstances have changed now, so because of that, we need to change as well. And accordingly then, a modern tafsir of the Qur'an is made. Modern tafsir of the Qur'an. Remember, the Qur'an is hudan lil alameen. The Qur'an is hidayat till the day of Qiyamah. It will always remain, but it will remain hidayat for the entire mankind in the form and in the manner that it is in. There is no need for us to modernize the tafsir. It is just a case of us recognizing the tafsir. This is the difference here. That because the Qur'an is guidance for all mankind, there are so many verses of the Qur'an that were revealed over 1400 years ago. But if we understand it correctly, it will relate to us in the 21st century as well. It will relate to us in the 22nd century as well if it comes. The 23rd century if it comes. The 24th, 25th. Till whenever it comes. The Qur'an will always relate. As long as we are able to make that relationship with the Qur'an. And if we are already going to go into the Qur'an thinking that look, the Qur'an was revealed 1400 years ago, so all the topics and everything is just related to 1400 years ago, it doesn't relate to us anymore, then you're not going to find that relationship with our times and the Qur'an as well. There won't be that link between the Qur'an. We won't understand the Qur'an at all. And everything will be, look, this is change, this is change, this is change. The Qur'an is just there for reading and nothing more than that. That is the wonder. And then there is those who will then want to modernize the Qur'an. That the Qur'an, we change the meanings for that to make it apply for us. To make the Qur'an comply with our lifestyle. And that is what we do. That we try and make the tafsir such that it is acceptable for the masses. We can't give tafsir of the Qur'an which people will not accept. So it isn't a case of what the people will accept. We have to accept what the Qur'an is saying to us, not the Qur'an needs to change so that the people will accept, and neither is the mufassir. Or the person who is doing dars of the Qur'an have to think to himself, look, I need to now do the tafsir and the explanation of the Qur'an that will be acceptable to people. And if there are going to be certain verses of the Qur'an that people are finding very difficult to make amal upon, then how can I mention that to the people? So then I need to change that to put it forward in an acceptable form. If you're doing so in a manner in which you're not altering the tafsir of the Qur'an, then that is fine. And that is fine. But if you're going to do it in such a manner, wherein now you're going to alter the tafsir of the Qur'an, then that is going down a misleading path, where the person himself is misled and he will be misleading others as well. So this is something that is very, very important. That we understand the need to learn the Qur'an and deen in general, not just Qur'an, deen, from the right source, from the correct source. In the past, people would know who, they would just know the alim of the masjid, the imam in the masjid. They would only know the local ulama. And they are the ones from whom they would acquire knowledge from. But now that isn't the case now, as I mentioned, due to social media and YouTube specifically. There are so many. And there are so many who are well known on that platform as well. And because they are so well known, they have many followers and many listeners as well. So people will just automatically by default want to turn towards them. And just because they are well known on YouTube doesn't necessarily mean that what they are saying is correct all the time as well. Then what they say is correct, that is in the case as well. And that is what we need to be very careful with. Ask the ulama, look, I listen to so and so, is it fine to be listening to this person or not? Well, now he's not listening, he's watching, isn't it? I watch so and so and I listen to so and so, should I or should I not? That is something that is very, very important. Because as I say to you, it's to win people over. It's very easy. Start presenting new things, new ideologies to people, new thoughts to people, things that, the modern mind and the modernist thinker wants. And they'll become pleased with that. And they become pleased with that, that's your catchment area. And that's the follow that you're going to get. And the more, then what happens, the more positive comments you get on that, and the more free you become yourself, and then the more the mind becomes free, the more we interpret the Qur'an in a free manner as well. I'll leave it to this because the next verse needs a bit more explanation as well. We won't have the time. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions here, Tilka ayatul kitab al-hakim. These ayat of the wise book, which is Hudan wa rahmatan lil muhsineen, which is a means of guidance and mercy for those who do good. And who are those who do good? الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَهُمْ بِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. Those who establish salah, who pay the zakat, and who are convinced about the akhirat. أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَىٰ هُدًى مِّن رَبِّهِمْ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. These people are those who are upon guidance from their Rabb. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And they are the truly successful ones. And many individuals, my dear friends, who were on haqq, who were on guidance, who were on the right path, have gone greatly astray by means of this platform. We're going greatly astray by means of this platform. Because this is how the nafs is, as in the next verse that we will do as well. That the nafs doesn't want to hear that you need to be following deen, and you need to be practicing deen, you need to have this difficulty and this difficulty, you need to do this qurbani and make this qurbani and that qurbani. The nafs wants things which are very easy, enlightened, simple to understand. So such verses of the Qur'an with regards to hijab, for instance, you're going to say that this was for the Arabs only, for this was 1400 years ago. That's good, fine, okay, we don't need to worry about that now. We don't need to worry about that. That's what we want to know about that. No, this was for that time. We want all various other interpretation of anything that then shows that look, we don't need, there is no need for any face covering. So we become pleased with that. So many other things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibits, this was just during that time and no longer, because circumstances have changed now. Conditions have changed now. Interest was not what it was in the past, so now it's a different situation now. So all these verses are related to that time. So these are things are what we like to hear, because that's what we want. We want to be Muslims, but we don't want to be practicing Muslims. That is what it is. We want to be Muslims, but we don't want to be practicing Muslims. We want to be Muslims, we want to be Muslims that, look, leave it to our own will. That when we feel like doing something, we'll do it. We shouldn't be compelled or told that, look, we need to be doing A, X, Y, Z. We'll do X, Y, Z when we want to do it. How we feel like doing it when we want to do it in that. And that deen itself is so flexible. And especially when you have tafsir of the Qur'an done in a manner where it is so flexible. Whereas in deen there is flexibility. A lot of flexibility is already there in deen. There's no need for us to bend it even more. Because whatever is already there itself is so flexible, as long as we understand it to be such. Allah Ta'ala grant us all the understanding, and Allah Ta'ala make us all from the muhsineen and the muflihun that Allah Ta'ala mentions here in these verses. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.